Okay, we're going to talk about the mouth and the head a little bit. This is kind of bonus material. We won't be tested on it, but uh, some years we get to it, some years we don't. Given our asynchronous learning, I'm going to provide it for whoever wants to learn. So when we're looking at our cows, um, we have molars in the back, top and bottom. So this is top. We have the dental pad up front, and then we have the lower teeth on the lower jaw in the front. We can see here, and we'll discuss it more as we move forward, the wear that's occurring as the animal gets older. So, so we're looking at our teeth. We've got deciduous teeth going through, just like you and I. The cows will go through and lose their teeth. So when the teeth first erupt, they're going to have this kind of full petal there. As they wear down from the top, they're going to have less and less until you get to those little nubs moving through. So we're taking off some, and eventually we're going to work our way all the way down. So if we're looking at our animals here, we've got the 2-year-old. It's got the first set of permanent teeth coming in the front, second set at 2.5 years. So for a while, I asked the question, why do I always find, if I'm cleaning out water tubs, why do I find always teeth in the 2-year-old pens in the water tubs? And it's because they're losing their molars usually through that period. So you've got some more turnover of teeth. They're likely to spit them out while they're eating or drinking, so they'll be likely to be found there. So we got our first 4 or 6 at 3 years. We got the complete set at 4 years, and then we're showing wear on those teeth as we move through. So you're going to wear them down a little bit faster, and eventually we're just going to get down to the nubs. So we continue on 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 9, 15 years. So we continue to wear those teeth down as she pulls in food, as she grazes on pasture. And eventually we're going to lose those spoons or dishes on the top, and we're just going to be left with the posts as we go through. So down here at the bottom sort of tells you when to expect all those things to happen. Again, this is all Atlas of Bovine Anatomy. So teeth, you've got a few less early on. We add a few more later on. As the teeth are started, there's not much wear on them. And then we get, with constant chewing, we're looking at 40 to 50,000 chews a day in a functioning ruminant. There's a lot of wear there. So being able to turn over their teeth is probably a good thing. And then you've got the crowns or tips there that get worn off, different layers. So this is when they come out. This is a little bit of wear just off the top. And then there's the wear associated with a little bit longer, a little bit farther down the tooth. So what else can we learn about the mouth in this particular section? So, just like a horse, you don't look a gift cow in the mouth. If you do take a look in there, you can probably guess their age with the information I've just given you. And we did already discuss why are all the teeth falling out when I clean. I find all the teeth in the water tub when I clean it in the 2-year-old pen, because they're losing their teeth at that time, and that's where I'll find them if they lose them. They lose them other places like on the alley and stuff like that. I'm not going to find them. So ruminants, defining characteristics at three-chambered four stomach, rumen reticulum omasum, true stomach abomasum. They have fermentation. They have rumination or cud chewing to break down their food particles, and eructation is the removal of the fermentation gases in the rumen in a very organized fashion. Rumination, we can call it eating rapidly and chewing later. It's a little bit more overlap than that. Just every time things come up, they get chewed very well. So, rumination is defined by the regurgitation of a bolus of feed from the reticulum. Remastication, the crushing moments by the molars. We've got more of a lateral cross motion across the teeth as opposed to an up and down that we use when we chew. There's kind of, you look at the cow, their jaw goes out and she slides back across. We're looking at about 60 chews, more or less, in that remastication. If you take a look at cows, every cow's got her number, at least in the short run. It varies around 60 of how many chews they will do before they swallow it and bring up the next one. Generally, cows will stick to a rotation that favors one side of the mouth or the other within a bout. So sometimes the jaw will go out to the left and circle back, down, out, circle back, down, out, circle back. And then we flip things over on the other side. Either, in the next rumination bout or maybe days later. Again, they tend not to change within a rumination bout. So once we got done chewing our number, we re-swallow. There's lots of now fresh surfaces exposed. You got lots of buffer, and then you've got microbes mixed in on that fresh feed. So you're going to accelerate and buffer the microbial fermentation. Rumination, we're looking at usually 8 to 9 hours a day. This can be influenced by the physical form of the feed, how long the particle size is, how tough the feed is, how old or high in NDF the feed is. The more NDF we have in the diet, the more likely we are to have a higher chewing per day or rumination per day. Also be influenced by management scheme. What do we allow those cows to do? When do we allow it to do that? Rumination usually occurs in 20 bouts per day, 10 to 20. So if we're looking at 10, we're looking at about a half hour a piece. If we're looking at 20, we're looking somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 minutes a piece, depending on how long or whether they get interrupted or not. 50 chews per day is a fairly typical average. 40 to 50 is what I've seen most of when you monitor that. High as 60, 65, depending on the cow, is also possible. So, rumination is promoted by anything that's going to increase the scratch factor of that feed. So, increased diet particle size, increased total dietary fiber, decreased forage quality are going to all lead to more stimulation of rumination. Rumination is inhibited by high VFA, specifically high osmolality. It tends to stop the mixing of the rumen to slow the fermentation down. And then there's the opportunity for the cow to allow things to be absorbed and reset herself before she commits again to rumination. And we need an adequate amount of each day to make sure that we get things cow needs, the rest she needs, the particle reduction she. I think about the ruminal contents in a mid-lactation cow. We might have 25, 30 gallons, 190 pounds, 140 of which is water, 25 pounds of dry matter in that rumen. We're looking at Oddly enough, a rumen moisture content or rumen uh, water content on a percentage basis that's about equal to milk. Kind of an odd coincidence, but you need a good amount of moisture in there to make things easy to um, uh, process in the body and also absorb things. So if you look at the numbers there, we've got 1 quadrillion or a million billions um, that are going to be the number of microbes between bacteria, protozoa, and fungi in the rumen. So you're going to be very, very tiny moving through. Salivary glands. The dairy cow has a lot of salivary glands and secretes a lot of saliva. So you have pairs on either side of the skull, and then you have some single ones that line up in the midline in some way, shape, or form. So cows have 8 salivary glands, and they produce about 65 gallons of saliva each day. So that's a lot more than most species, and it's probably related to the selection to produce higher milk. My thought is that you need to be able to manage the acid load off the fermentation with these huge intakes some of these cows are getting. Um, so lots more saliva each day is going to help her manage the acid load, the VFA load that she encounters. So if we think about low flows, where they come from, we take a look at the research out there. Who's measured it? It's easy to measure resting flow. It's easy to measure eating flow, but you can't measure rumination flow with the methods that we have available to us. So um, unless you want to start cannulating um, saliva glands and things like that, and you might mess up the cow in the short run. So dairy cows produce 500 gallons of mixed gas each day, so eructated out through the head. You're looking at the two main ones being carbon dioxide is usually around 50% of what's produced in a given day. 33% or a third is methane, and the rest are hydrogen sulfide and what's the other one I'm missing? I don't know. I said it earlier today. So